All right, my name is Zach Mays, and this is my persuasive presentation on step 4 of the process, which is generating solutions. And I actually only have 3 friends with me, 4 if you count Scrappy right there. But here it goes, step 4 of the process. As of right now, we can pretty much everyone agrees that home field advantage is a very real thing. That in playing a sport, when you're playing at home, you have your fans, you feel more comfortable. Stats suggest it, players will tell you home field advantage matters. That being said, the current system in deciding who gets home field advantage in the World Series is currently decided by the winner of the All-Star game, which is otherwise a totally arbitrary game, meaning the All-Star game literally means nothing, but somehow it decides something as important as home field advantage in the World Series. Now, this current system came about in 2002 when the All-Star game ended in a tie in the 11th inning when the National League ran out of pitchers. Commissioner Bud Selig said he had already planned to fix the All-Star game to where it wasn't so much of an exhibition game. Players really weren't taking it seriously. He wanted it to matter. He wanted it to mean something. And so that is why he made it decide who gets home field advantage in the All-Star game. But this doesn't really solve the problem because, as you will see, players are still treating the All-Star game like an exhibition game. Even though it decides home field advantage, it doesn't really matter for their team personally, and they're not really taking it as seriously as it should when it decides home field advantage. So I'm going to generate solutions. I feel there are a lot of solutions to this problem that are just inherently better than having the All-Star game decided. And I've come up with a couple. Here's one is Atlanta's own Chipper Jones was quoted in an interview saying that players are still treating it like an exhibition game. And if you really wanted it to be a representation of the best players from each league, it would be the 9 best players regardless of which team they came from. So instead of requiring that at least one person come from each team and they get an inning here and they get an inning there, the players aren't going to treat it like a real game when they're just put in there for 3 innings and they haven't really gotten to warm up like they normally would or really play the game like they normally would. It doesn't feel like a real game for them, so they're not going to treat it like a real game. So Chipper's response would be to have an actual rotation, an actual lineup, an actual starting pitcher, and treat it like a real baseball game with specifically the best players from each league. That being said, it doesn't really solve the problem of, should the All-Star game decide home field advantage, which it shouldn't. But by doing this, it would create a more accurate representation of the elite from both leagues, deciding, which league is better and who gets home field advantage. A second solution would be to base home field advantage on a team's interleague record. For those of you that don't know, interleague play is when teams from different leagues play each other during the regular season. It doesn't count towards their division record, but it counts towards their overall record. And what the interleague record is a reflection of which league is truly stronger. So if one team has a better interleague record than another, it proves that they are the stronger league and that they should get home field advantage. This being said, there are too many intangibles that you can't really account for. Just based on scheduling, it's almost just as unfair. Well, not quite as unfair as having the All-Star game decide, because it's just luck of the draw in terms of who you get to play in your interleague games. That being said, it's still a better representation of which league is the stronger league. And lastly, personally, my favorite decision and most logical for me would be to just have a team's regular season record decide who gets home field advantage in the World Series. So, 2 teams make it through the brackets during the World Series. Whoever has a better record thus far is the better team and gets home field advantage. This takes the whole all-star idea out of it and really just bases home field advantage on which team, truly is better based on statistics. And so those are just 3 examples. The All-Star game deciding it's an interesting fix to make the All-Star game more realistic. They make it so it matters, and players aren't so nonchalant about the game, and they take it more seriously to where it actually matters now. But in reality, it's just a totally arbitrary and unfair way to decide home field advantage. Justin Verlander is quoted as saying that In this past All-Star game, he came out just throwing as hard as he could. For anyone that watched it, the National League crushed the American League, and Verlander, who normally would take responsibility, came out saying, "I was just throwing as hard as I could." Fans came to see his show. He was out there pumping 101 miles an hour, not really taking the game seriously, and really treating it like a start. He knew he would be in there for 2 or 3 innings. He just was out there slinging fastball. So players still aren't treating it like it needs to be treated. So that being said, something else needs to, another solution needs to be found. I've given you 3, either, based on interleague play, maybe a revamped version of the All-Star game if you truly want that to be the decider, or the most simple solution would be just to have the regular season record deciding. But basically, the problem is that players are not treating the All-Star game like it needs to be treated, and thus it shouldn't decide home field advantage. So my solution would be to have the regular season record decide, but there are, of course, multiple solutions. But having regular season games decide is the most fairest and simpler way to decide, in my opinion. So those are my solutions to home field advantage in the All-Star game. And here are my 3 people. And that's it. Thank you.